Hello everyone, I am Dr. Sana Faruqi, Assistant Professor from the Department of English, BSSS Bhopal. Would like to welcome you all in today's session where we are going to talk about literary criticism. Before we move ahead, I have a question to you. When you hear a word criticism, what comes to your mind? Is it something tearing a book apart? Is it pointing out flaws? Or is it being overly opinionated? What if I told you that literary criticism is not about fault finding, but about understanding the text in detail, appreciating it, or a deep engagement with literature? Most of the time, students get confused that criticism means it's a negative term. Is it a negative term or a positive term? Well, let me tell you that criticism takes both the things together. It can be a positive criticism, it can be a negative criticism. Suppose if you buy a product or if you rate a movie out of 5-point scale, how do you judge it? You just go with the script, you just go with the plot, you go with the characterization, you go with the dialogue delivery, setting, scenic beauty. These are the things on the basis of which you criticize any piece of work, be it a movie, be it a novel. So this is what criticism is all about. When we talk about criticism, it is not always negative, it keeps positive aspects as well. So what is it? It means that when you are going under the lines, and you are finding the hidden meaning and allegorical sense behind it. So this is what criticism is all about. So let me break down this lecture. What is the agendas of today's session? We are going to talk about introduction to literary criticism in brief. Then we will focus on the elements, characteristics and purpose of literary criticism. So let's go to the next slide. If we will discuss on the introduction to literary criticism, we can find that criticism is the study, analysis, interpretation and evaluation of literature, where you critically analyze the text, you read between the lines, you just go with the lens which is being hidden there. A text can be analyzed with the lens of psychoanalysis, with the lens of Marxism, feminism, eco-criticism. So there are so many theories which we are going to cover in the next session, but yes, these are the lenses by which we can analyze, we can interpret the text. So somewhere criticism allows readers to understand the deeper meaning, themes and messages within a text and provides different lenses through which piece of literature can be examined. Suppose if I will give you the example of Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. So you can read this text by the lens of psychoanalysis, where time and timelessness, Oedipus stream of consciousness and theory of Thanatos and feminist aspects can also be found. So when you critically analyze Mrs. Dalloway, you can find that you can have psychoanalytical themes in it. The same way, if you'll go with a work which is keeping Marxist criticism or feminist criticism, or even if I'll give you the example of that work, Jungle Book, that is being titled Mowgli in Hindi, we can find eco-criticism in that, how that little boy survived in that natural ambience and with the lens of eco-criticism, ecological aspects have been covered in it. So there are so many lenses which are covering under theories of criticism, and by taking that particular lens you can literally critically analyze that piece of work. So it offers different frameworks for analysis. Those frameworks I just told you. It can be Marxism, it can be feminism, it can be psychoanalysis, it can be eco-criticism, it can be autobiographical. There are several. Reader response theory, they all are coming under different theories. So what is the goal of it? What is the goal of criticism? The goal of criticism is to enhance understanding and appreciation of literary works. If you go with the lines, that would not give the allegorical sense of that text. But if you literally, critically analyze that literary work, you will come up with so many themes. You will go, between the lines. You will come up with several themes, and in what circumstances that text is being written. So when we talk about why that author is saying this in that way, when was it written, what literary era was there in the background, what scenarios under and circumstances he or she has been coming up, this is what you are going beyond the text. You are not going just with the lines, you are just diving inside the text. So that is what criticism is. The same we do when we review any work, review any movie, review any text or any item on any shopping application. So this is what criticism is all about. To understand it, we need to know the elements of literary criticism. So there are majorly 5 elements which are really required to to critically analyze any piece of work. First one is text. Now, what we cover under this? Text. So the primary material being analyzed is text. We being studying literature, you need to have a text as a primary object. So you just literally analyze it, you just go with the text, you just go with the theme, you just go with the poem, be it a play, be it a poem, be it a novel, you go with the text first. Suppose I gave you the example of Mrs. Dalloway, or I am giving you the example of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Whatever text you are analyzing, you first need to have a text, then only you can go with the criticism. Second is, once you analyze what the text is saying, then you go with the author. Who is the author of that text? Under what conditions was that text come up with? The creator of that work, right? Suppose when I gave you the example of Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, you need to know what what was the personal life of Virginia Woolf, under what circumstances she came with this work, Mrs. Dalloway, whatever themes, whatever elements she kept in that text, was it really being there in her personal life as well? So you need to know the writer's autobiography to some extent to critically analyze any piece of work. So you go with the background, you go with the ideology that writer follows, or you go with the experiences which is being keeping, right? This is a traditional method of criticism. Let me tell you that if I'll go with the timeline of criticism, from Plato to T.S. Eliot, we covered traditional conventional way of criticizing any piece of work, where we focus writer's background, writer's personal life, what all awards that writer received, and we go with the text, we go with the themes, everything beyond the text as well as the historical autobiographical context. On the other hand, if we'll talk about the later part of it, from T.S. Eliot to new criticism, we don't go with the text, we don't go with the author's background, but we only go with the text. This is called new criticism. So in this session, we are not going to talk about new criticism, but I am just differentiating these two different terms, that traditional criticism is entirely different from new criticism. Traditional criticism, conventional criticism, we go with the writer's background as well. If I want to read Mrs. Dalloway, I'll go with Virginia Woolf's personal life, why she committed suicide, why she was not a happy soul, why was she not keeping good relationship with her husband, why she was suffering from manic depressive disorder, why she filled her pockets with heavy stones and drowned in River Ouse, impact of she being molested by her half brothers. So we are to understand Mrs. Dalloway, I am going with the entire personal life, awards, scenarios, phases of Virginia Woolf's life as well. On the other hand, if I'll talk about new criticism, we don't go with the writer's background. We don't go with the gender of that writer, be it a male or a female. We just go with the text and the text only. What is the texture of it? What kind of words are being used here? And that's it. So we just critically analyze the work without its cover page, because cover page is telling you the writer's background, writer's gender, writer's name, and that makes you somewhere biased. A very relatable example, suppose if I am reading my friend's book, a book which is written by my friend, I'll be biased and I'll like whatever irrelevant things have also been covered in it, because that is being written by my friend. So I'll be biased. I'm not, I won't be in a position to, critically analyze it, because I'm somewhere aware that who's the writer, and that writer is my closest friend. So this is what biasness can be created if you go with the cover page or the background of that writer. On the other hand, if I'll just remove the cover page, if I just steer the cover page of a book and only the text is being given to me, I will just not know who's the writer, what is the gender, what literary era he or she belong to, and I'll just go with the text. So when going only with the text, that is called new criticism. When going with everything in the background and in the text, that is traditional criticism. So in today's class, we are just focusing on literary criticism in a general way, where I was, supposed to tell you both the areas, be it new, be it traditional. So I was telling you text is really important. If you are critically analyzing any text, author is really important, because we are talking about traditional criticism. And then reader. What do you mean by this term reader? So audience who interpret the meaning based on personal understanding. As I told you that suppose if I am reading a text written by my friend, I will be biased. So reader response is also being covered here in it. Suppose if I am not happy in my life and I am reading a text, I will find the negative areas in that text. Suppose if I am really jolly and very happy-go-lucky kind of a person, I will go with only the happy elements, I will extract only the positivity from the text. So it really matters what is there in your mind. According to that, you put a lens and critically analyze any piece of text. So that comes under reader, right? So it really depends on your personal life, and according to that, you sieve the text and you go filter it accordingly. Next is context. So what is there in context? When you critically analyze any piece of work, you need to go with the history, because I am talking about traditional criticism here, not new criticism. So you need to go with the history, you need to go with the culture, under what circumstances this work was written, social setting, and in which a work was written and received. Suppose if I take the example of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, I will tell you that Pride and Prejudice was written in somewhere late Victorian era. So what was the condition of women in that particular phase? It was a male dominating society where women were submissive and they were not allowed to put up their thoughts, they were not allowed to be opinionated. So under that, marriage was only the whole sole goal of girls. To get a good suitor was the ultimate goal of their lives. So under that mindset, under that literary era, Jane Austen came up with a work, Pride and Prejudice. So you can understand that if you go with the writer's background, somewhere it is a mirror of her or his personal life, right? So context is also really important to dive inside the text. And the fifth one is language and style. That is really important. Let me tell you, this is the only point we focus in the new criticism. We don't go with the the historical background, we don't go with the author, we don't go with any other point, but we go with the text as well as the language and style. So fifth point is the choice of words. What kind of words are being used in the text, what literary devices have been there in it, and what techniques have been used. Suppose if I again come up with the example of Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, which is a modern novel, we go with the symbolism and themes which have been there in it, stream of consciousness, where there is a swing of mood from past to present and present to past. Time and timelessness is also one of the themes, and androgyny is there in the text, because Mrs. Dalloway had, in reality, Virginia Woolf had an affair with Vita Sackville West, which is being projected here by the character of Sally Seton. So Sally was in love with Clarissa Dalloway. So you can find that in her real life also she was keeping that mindset, and that is the reason she came up with these things in her text. So this is really important, why, in what, under what conditions, what kind of language or particular kind of language and style is being used. This is all somewhere giving us a kind of hint that this is what we can analyze the text with. There is an example given here that in Shakespeare's Hamlet, critics analyze the protagonist's soliloquies to explore his psychological turmoil. Even if I will go with Hamlet by William Shakespeare, we can find that psychological turmoil can also be understood in that way. So these are some important elements we need to focus on. Coming back to the next slide, purpose of literary criticism. Why do we critically analyze? Do we really enjoy? Do we get sadistic pleasure critically analyzing and putting arrows on people's work? No, it's not like that. Then what is it? What is the purpose of it? So first one is enhancing understanding. You really need to understand, enhance the understanding of particular text. See, if I'll give you a very simple example, when in our childhood, when we were reading the text, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, we were not going beyond the text. We were not going between the lines. We were just mugging it up because it is being told to us by our school teachers. But you, being a student of BA or MA or literature, you should know that how to read a particular piece of work, how to read a poetry, how to read a drama, read any drama or any fiction. You need to keep that skill, that under what mindset this might have been said by the writer. So first point is to enhance understanding. It helps readers grasp deeper meaning and themes, be it symbolism, be it metaphor, be it character motivations. Second purpose to critically analyze any piece of work is preserving literary heritage. There are so many works we have been studying today just because they were critically analyzed in such a way that they have become a landmark in the phase of literature. So preserving literary heritage, it keeps classical works relevant through continuous study. Let's take the example of William Shakespeare's Hamlet. It still studies, we still study this work, and it brings fresh interpretation till today. Third point, third purpose to go with this is encouraging debate. Somewhere when we analyze any piece of work, we get inquisitiveness, we get curiosity, and we are in a position to critically put arrow that this should not have been said by the writer in this way, or it could have been said in that way. So when do we get this skill? When we know how to analyze it, and this is what we are learning here. So it encourages debate, it promotes different interpretations. I can have a different interpretation, you can have a different interpretation. So this is the beauty of this particular paper. And next is challenging assumptions. We assume things and then challenge it while critically analyzing any piece of work. So we encourage questioning of societal norms, beliefs. Suppose I just question Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, that why every girl was meant to marry. They were only believing that marriage can be the ultimate goal of their lives. Why were they not opinionated? Why were they not working in any of the companies? Why were they not career oriented? Why? Because the society was like that. When it was written, society was keeping that mindset. So we somewhere challenge assumptions, and we go with the challenge the beliefs also. And, last point given on the screen is bridging literature and society. So what is the purpose here is to connect literature to historical, societal and cultural context. So it's something really interesting here. When we critically analyze any piece of work, we make a kind of bridge, and we connect it with different things. We connect any piece of work with history. Suppose let's take the example of Pride and Prejudice. So I am connecting it with the historical background, Victorian era. I connect it with social background, male dominating society, submissive women, and I go with cultural context. So I am dissecting, tearing this work, analyzing it with different lenses. So this is what I am doing. There is an example given on the last line, that Mrs. Dalloway's psychological depth, feeling of isolation and stream of consciousness is somewhere telling us that that work can be read in these many ways. So what is the conclusion of today's session? What have you understood? We focused on what criticism is. I told you that it's not only a negative term, it can be positive criticism, it can be negative criticism, and we did talk about elements of criticism, we did talk about purpose of criticism. So what is the conclusion of today's session? Literary criticism enriches our reading experience by offering various ways to interpret text. We get several ways, several lenses by which we can critically analyze any piece of work. Whether we analyze Shakespeare's tragedies, we analyze Jane Austen's social commentaries, modern dystopian novels, or literary criticism helps us understand how literature reflects and shapes human thoughts and society. So to understand the historical background of writer mindset or the work, in what context and circumstances that is being written, we really need to know how to critically analyze it. I hope this topic is clear to you. In the coming session, we are going to focus on literary theories. There are so many which I am not going to cover in this particular session. So thank you so much for today's session. We will meet with some new learnings in the next video. Thank you.